Hello Year 3. Yesterday we were learning about unit fractions. Can you remember what a unit fraction is? A unit fraction is a fraction where the numerator is 1. We've seen lots of these on our fraction walls that we were making last week with Miss Lopez. I've got my fraction wall here and you can see lots of examples of unit fractions. We've got 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5. We learnt yesterday that when we compare unit fractions, the greater the denominator, the smaller the fraction. Let's have a look at why that's true. If I take my piece of paper and I rip it into two equal parts, into halves, we can see the pieces are quite big. If I rip them again, so this time I've got 4 equal parts, I've got quarters, we can see the pieces have got smaller. If I rip it again, so this time I've got 8 equal pieces, I've shared it into eighths, we can see again the pieces are getting smaller. And I could rip it one more time. I could rip it into 16 equal pieces, into sixteenths, and again the pieces are even smaller. So each time I keep ripping it, I keep dividing my whole into more and more pieces, the pieces are getting smaller and smaller. And that's exactly what's happening on our fractions wall. As the denominator gets greater, it means we're sharing our whole into more equal parts. And that means that the parts are having to get smaller and smaller, just like when I ripped my piece of paper. So we have proved that when the numerator is 1, when it's a unit fraction, the greater the denominator, the smaller the fraction. So we know that 1/2 is going to be greater than 1/12. We're going to start today's video now. We've got some questions at the beginning to remind us of yesterday's learning, and then we'll look at our workbooks before we start today's topic. Yesterday we were comparing unit fractions. We were comparing. This means we were looking at different amounts and working out which is greater, which is less, or were they equal to each other. And what we were comparing were unit fractions. These are fractions that have a numerator of 1. So 1/5, 1/2, or 1/4. And we learnt that when the fraction is a unit fraction, the greater the denominator, the smaller the fraction. Using what we learnt yesterday, can you pause the video and work out which fraction is the greatest and which fraction is the smallest? I know that 1/2 is the greatest fraction. It has the smallest denominator, so it's going to be the greatest fraction. I know that 1/16 is the smallest fraction because it has the greatest denominator. The denominator tells us how many equal parts we're splitting our whole into. So the more parts we split it into, the smaller each part will be. Here are your answers from yesterday's workbook pages. Pause the video to check that you answered correctly. If there are any that you didn't understand or that you are confused about, please send Miss Downing or Miss Lopez a message. Today we are going to be comparing non-unit fractions. So, just like yesterday, we will need to use our symbols to show which is greater or which is less. Here is an example of a non-unit fraction. Can you read the fraction with me? 4/8. The denominator is 8, so the total number of equal parts is 8. The numerator is 4, so we are counting 4 of those 8 parts. This is a non-unit fraction because the numerator is more than 1. Unit fractions have a numerator of 1. Non-unit fractions have a numerator that is more than 1. Let's get started with today's learning. We have got 2 friends from Maths No Problem, Amira and Sam. Amira and Sam have split a square into equal pieces, and Amira is going to get 3 of those pieces. Sam is going to get 5 of those pieces. Our question for today is who gets more? Can you pause the video, look at the diagram, the picture, and see if you can explain who is going to get more pieces? We can see that Sam is going to get more pieces than Amira because he gets 5 pieces and Amira only gets 3. I wonder if we could use our knowledge of fractions to help explain how we know that Sam gets more pieces. Let's start by thinking about how many pieces the shape has been divided into. Can you count with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The shape has been divided into 8 equal pieces, and Amira is going to get 3 of those pieces. 3 out of 8. Can you pause the video and write down the fraction that Amira gets? Amira gets 3/8 of the shape. She gets 3 out of the 8 pieces. Now let's look at Sam's pieces. What is the fraction for Sam's pieces? Can you write it down? Sam gets 5 out of the 8 pieces, so Sam gets 5/8. I have represented the 2 fractions using a bar model. On the top, we can see Amira's 3/8 of the shape, and underneath we can see that Sam has 5/8 of the shape. Which is greater? Excellent! We know that 5/8 is more than 3/8. This also means that 3/8 is less than 5/8. So we have proved that Sam gets more pieces than Amira. Now it's your turn to have a go at a question. There are 2 fractions on the board, 1/6 and 5/6. We need to work out which fraction is greater. I'm going to help you by drawing the 2 bars. Remember, just like yesterday, the bars need to be the same length. Both bars are split into 6 equal parts because the denominator is 6. Pause the video and work out which fraction is greater. Let's have a look together. In the first fraction, we need to shade 1 of the 6 parts. In the second fraction, we need to shade 5 of the 6 parts. So I can see that the greatest fraction is 5/6. Yesterday, we proved that when the fraction is a unit fraction, the greater the denominator, the smaller the fraction. If we have a look at what we've learnt today, we could say that when the fraction has the same denominator, the greater the numerator, the greater the fraction. Let's see if we can prove that by answering some questions. These fractions all have the same denominator. Pause the video and see if you can compare them using the symbols at the top. Remember what we have learnt today. The greater the numerator, the greater the fraction. Here are the answers. I have seen which fraction has the greatest numerator, and that means I know that it is the greater fraction. Let's look at the first one, 2/7 and 5/7. 5/7 has the greater numerator. 5 is bigger than 2. So I have said that 5/7 is the bigger fraction. Let's check to see if I am correct. The top bar has been split into 7 pieces and 2 of them are shaded. That shows us 2/7. The bottom bar has been split into 7 pieces as well, but 5 are shaded. That shows us 5/7. And we can see that I was correct. 5/7 is the bigger fraction, because when the fraction has the same denominator, the greater the numerator, the greater the fraction. Now it's time for our independent practice. I would like you to do pages 107 and 108. You need to compare the two fractions. Good luck, and I will see you all tomorrow.